Good evening. Or should I say, good evening to those who can still stand the sound of silence. To those who are not afraid to stare into the shadows. To those who already know the world is not made of justice but of bargains, betrayals, and secrets. Tonight, you didn't come here for comfort. You came here for the truth you were never meant to hear. Because something unholy just turned. And it wasn't in the light. It wasn't in the open. It wasn't in front of the cameras or the crowds. It turned in the dark corners, the ones they guard with trembling hands and fake smiles. The very foundation they built their world upon cracked beneath them, and now they're crying where no one can see. That's the irony, isn't it? They wanted to make you the weak one. They wanted to strip you down to nothing, convince you that you were the shadow and they were the light. But shadows don't bleed. Shadows don't weep. They do. In secret, behind locked doors, behind closed curtains, behind masks so tight they can't breathe anymore. You see, people think strength is about standing tall in the sunlight. They think power is about making noise, raising banners, gathering crowds. But the most terrifying power is the one that doesn't announce itself. The kind of power that turns worlds upside down without a word. The kind of power that doesn't scream. It smiles. And that's what just happened. Something shifted. Something snapped. Something unholy turned in the night. And now their mirrors reflect their own destruction back at them. They've built empires on your suffering, and now they hear the foundations groan. They used your name as a punchline, your pain as currency, your silence as proof of their victory. But now they sob into their pillows, hoping no one hears the choke in their throats, hoping no one sees that the crown on their head is made of rotting wire. Do you feel it? That reversal, that current in the air. They thought you'd never rise, never bite, never haunt. They thought you'd vanish quietly while they laughed loud enough to drown out your memory. But instead, you became the echo they can't escape. You became the shadow that doesn't leave when the lights turn on. You became the storm that no locked door can keep out. And now, they cry. Oh, they cry. Not in public, not where their pride can be seen, but in secret. In the corners, in the places no camera can catch, no ally can comfort, no crowd can cheer. They cry where no one can see because admitting it out loud would shatter the mask they've glued to their faces. And here's the part that burns them the most. They know you don't need to see their tears to know they exist. You feel them. You feel the cracks widening beneath their feet. You feel the weight of their guilt pressing on their spines. You feel their collapse in your bones like thunder in the distance. You don't need proof. You don't need apologies. You don't need witnesses, because you already won in silence. This is the kind of justice the world never talks about. Not the courtroom kind. Not the applause kind, not the kind they can twist into a headline. This is the justice that happens in the shadows, where they hide their shame, where their hearts pound against their ribs like guilty prisoners begging to be freed. And you are the warden. You are the verdict. You are the reason they can't sleep at night. So let them cry. Let them sob where no one can see. Let them claw at the walls of their own minds, whispering your name like a curse they can't remove. Let them break in silence, because silence is where they thought they buried you. And now it's where you bury them. Something unholy just turned, my friend. And it wasn't against you. It was against them. The wheel spun, the tide shifted, the walls caved in, and they will never admit it. They will never show the world their collapse. But you know, and I know, and they know, and that is enough. Because here's the truth they don't want anyone to say out loud. The strongest scream is the one never heard. The deepest wound is the one no one sees. And the most satisfying revenge is the one that doesn't need an audience. That's why they're terrified of you. Not because you shouted, not because you fought, not because you proved yourself in the spotlight. They're terrified because you stayed silent. And still, the ground beneath them split apart. You became their reflection, their shadow, their conscience. Every time they try to smile, it feels like a mask cracking. Every time they try to sleep, they hear your silence screaming louder than their laughter ever did. They panic, they choke, they crumble. They've become prisoners of the guilt they once fed to you. And here's the divine comedy of it all. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought your stillness meant surrender. They never realized silence can be a knife, stillness can be a storm, and absence can be the loudest presence in the room. So let them hide. Let them bury their faces in trembling hands. Let them collapse behind closed doors while the world thinks they're standing strong. You don't need the show. You don't need the stage. You don't need their confession, because you already own their secret tears. And that is the kind of victory that leaves scars they can never heal. So remember this, my friend. When something unholy turns, it doesn't turn for the innocent. It doesn't turn for the weak. It turns against the ones who lit the fire and thought they'd never get burned. And now they are burning, in silence, in shame, in places where no spotlight will ever reach. And you don't have to do a thing. Just keep walking. Just keep breathing. Just keep existing. Because your existence alone is the blade in their chest. They cry where no one can see. But the darkness sees. And the darkness never forgets. And now, here we are. The silence after the storm. The silence they thought would bury you, but instead, it became your crown. They panicked. They schemed, they plotted in the open. But the collapse came in secret, where no one could watch, where no applause could save them. That's the part no one tells you. The most devastating punishments don't need witnesses. The most perfect victories don't need clapping hands. The most haunting justice is the kind that plays out in the dark, where their pride is useless, and their tears are wasted on walls that don't care. They are crying where no one can see. But you don't need to see them, you just need to know. And here's the beauty of it all. Your silence, your endurance, your refusal to break. That became the sentence they can never escape. You didn't destroy them with your hands. You destroyed them with your existence, and now, every single tear they shed in secret is proof of who really won. So let them sob into the dark. Let them pray no one finds out. Let them crumble quietly, piece by piece, until nothing is left but the echoes of what they did to you. Because the darkness saw, the darkness remembers, and the darkness always collects. Something unholy turned tonight, and it wasn't against you, it was against them. And now, my friend, they'll spend the rest of their lives bleeding in silence while you walk away crowned by shadows. And maybe that's the real poetry of it all. Not that they broke in public, not that the world saw their downfall, but that they shattered where no one else could see. Alone, unwitnessed, forgotten by the same crowd they once performed for. Their punishment was never meant to be a spectacle. It was meant to be eternal. You see, when the curtain falls and the applause dies, all that remains is the silence. And in that silence, they drown. The ones who thought they were untouchable are left clutching their own guilt like chains, trembling in the dark while the shadows cradle their collapse. And you're no longer their prisoner. You walked out of the fire, wearing the ashes as armor, carrying scars that became your crown. They cry where no one can see, but you don't need to see them to know. You can feel it, like the air is heavier now, like justice itself finally exhaled, something unholy turned, and the universe finally decided whose side it was on. Not theirs, yours. So walk forward, head high, no need to look back, because the world will never know what they lost in the dark, but you will always know what you gained in the silence. And that, my friend, is a victory no one can steal.